Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and today is another Truth Tuesday with my buddy Satoshi Sean. We have some interesting things to discuss, so jump in the live chat and let us know what your thoughts are. Make sure you like and share on both channels. Sean and I are both live streaming at the same time. We're trying something new and would love to know your thoughts on that as well. See you in a minute. All right, we're back.
Your little thumbs up thing worked. Yeah, we got to do the intro thing now because we're doing it together on both channels.
Let's do
Weird
it.
that you start it and then come back to me. Welcome to Truth Tuesday, everybody. We're doing it together now. We're not doing the half on Lisa's and half on mine because honestly, like y'all miss out, and then it's hard to like. Let's talk about that on my channel. Let's talk about it. So it's better to just do it all at once and then
stream on both.
Yeah, but if you're watching, please give us a view on both channels. So if you're watching on Lisa's channel, hop over to mine, give me a like and a watch. If you're watching on mine, even if you're watching mine later, which I have a lot of people who watch it later, jump over to Lisa's channel and give her a like.
Yeah, that would be great. We appreciate it. And then leave a comment if you're on the other one.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can help the algorithms. We appreciate it.
Also, now if you go to my channel and leave comments, you're registered to win crypto on.
Oh yeah, leave a comment on Sean's.
I need to do a crypto meme review. I haven't done one in a long time. But yeah, so yeah, we have so much to talk about.
New memes. Yeah. Today was the big Pete Hegseth hearing. And they were ripping him right and left.
Yeah.
I did see a lot of support, military support for him, which I thought was really amazing. This guy that I've been following, who I'm still anticipating to see some live streaming arrests from, Ivan Raiklin.
What they call a Secretary of Defense that did the following. Not only is he morbidly obese, he was AWOL because of his health conditions just last year in the Christmas time frame, if you don't remember that. Additionally, this current acting Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, was the one that promoted the illegal order known as the Department of Defense COVID-19 jab mandate. If you recall, it was an emergency use authorized product, and he and General Milley forced it on the entire military, those 80,000 of us plus that were early critical thinkers that knew this was an unsafe experimental DNA mutilation injection, or in the case of the Johnson & Johnson product, just the myocarditis making injection. We refused to participate in that experimentation. So that was raised by, it was Senator Schmidt. Additionally, the 13 service members that Lloyd Austin murdered literally with the pullout from Afghanistan. So while some of these radical Democrat senators are starting to call out Pete Hegseth for things, they failed to recognize that they confirmed a current, what they consider a Secretary of Defense that murdered 13 service members, that ejected 80,000, that untold numbers were mutilated and destroyed, just like Carolyn Stanzik, the Virginia National Guardsman that was forced into accepting the jab. There are probably thousands that have been injured based on that illegal jab mandate. This current acting fake Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, has decimated the ranks. That doesn't even count for the conniving racism training that he has been promoting. The promotion and the funding of mutilation, what they call trans. It is literally the lopping off of penises, slapping on vaginas, lopping off breasts. This is the mutilation of our national security.
That was a funny way
Not to mention, it didn't earn it policies known as DEI. This current guy sitting in the Pentagon has literally destroyed this is mutiny, this is sedition. He must be held to account. And while some people say held to account, he needs to be, he's a former military officer, this guy Lloyd Austin. He and General Milley must be recalled from retirement, and then they need to be held to account And I expect that that's going to end in capital punishment for both of them.
Some Democrats had asked question about whether he might be ready to manage such a big organization. Do you think he's fit for that? He's ready for that?
He goes back.
I just listed you what occurred with the current guy.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So he says, like, I literally just listed you, like, who they thought was qualified. And
that's something that's
I can do worse.
I haven't. Okay, I don't like the politeness of the right, of the conservatives, of what they're doing. I don't like it. I like it when they're
You like Ivan's delivering.
When they're dirty, when they're not dirty, but when they're gritty, they fight back. There's no gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hegseth thing is, but it really shows how much they still don't get it. Like, you look at, so they started to get it with what Kamala ran her campaign, and they were like, people don't give a crap about this. And there's so many people like, oh, really? So you care more about the price of eggs than abortions? And then people are literally, they're like, yeah, like, that's more important right now. I have to feed my family. This is important, you know. These are so they don't get it. And I watched Warren, and Warren attacked him hard because you're misogynistic, and you said that women don't belong in combat.
Mm-hmm.
And women in combat, and it's standards. And she was bringing stuff up from 2013, and he was like, "I'm glad you brought this up because this really proves my point that I care about standards." And as soon as he would start saying something, she would go, "No, shut up! You're a misogynist. You don't like women."
She just wanted to say her lies.
And he's like, "No." Because he said that women make great warriors, but he doesn't think women should be in combat. And it's kind of the what we're seeing with the firefighters thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I remember when the debate was happening, I was like a young adult, like 20, 21. Mm-hmm. And there were no, like, women couldn't be firefighters. Just was the way it is. Because like it's too important to allow, to mess with. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, maybe it's discriminatory, but it's too important. It's people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like letting a pedophile work in a daycare. It's like, well, they went to prison, they paid their time, you know, they found God, well, no, we just can't allow it.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
It's just, there's something we can't risk it. So that's how women in combat, and the women in combat has been, just because I don't want to say the good
also
side of sexism.
Vulnerability.
But it's because, and then when you say distraction, like, they want to make it seem like, and this all goes back to, like, when you're confused years ago, when they're like, I don't know what a woman is, and people are attacking facts, because now if you want to use instinct facts for sex, I don't want to say gender because that's a whole different thing, but like, bred into our DNA is that men want to protect females. It's just, that's what we want to do. Females want to nurture. It's part of what makes us different. And when he said, and people say that women are a distraction on the combat field, it's not because, like, they're thinking, oh man, I want to get some of that. You're in combat, you know what I mean? Y'all are covered in mud and blood, and that's not it. It's that I'm more worried about protecting her than I am the guy next to me or myself, and it's going to lead to a bad decision. And that's, you can call that sexism, but if it's right, if it's scientific, it's scientific. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
Like my kids always say, oh, that's racist. I'm like, that's not racist. That's racial. Like, if you'd say, oh, you know, you Asians can't drive. But if your insurance company charges you an extra $10 a month because you're Asian, because Asian drivers get into a statistical higher number of, if it's scientific, it's not racial, it's not racist, it's racial. You had a mixed kid.
Okay, take the race out of it. If you do age ranges that males between under the age of 25 get in more car wrecks, that's just a fact.
You had a mixed kid that you raised.
That's
I
not.
have mixed kids in my family. You had to deal with hair problems that no one else had to deal with. There's certain things that about. It's a difference, and it's not racist. It's racial, and I've tried to tell my kids that. And that's where, with political correctness, they took the whole meaning of intent out of the conversation. It's like, hey, if you do this and do this, you're a good person. And I'm like, no, if you're a good person, you're a good person. Look at Don Rickles and all these other comedians. They were not bad people, but they said bad stuff as a joke.
Said things that were factual that people could identify.
It was meant to be shocking and funny, but it was not. They would never. It was not meant to be hurtful. So intent is very important, and intent has been lost. Intent doesn't matter anymore. It's like, here you just follow this set of rules. You say these things, you don't say these things, and that's how it is. And that's not real. It's not a real person. It's literally like a robot.
It's true. Well, and another guy that you would like this response. So this is a senator out of Oklahoma.
This is what he brought this up. I'm glad you're bringing this up. This was good.
Markwayne Mullins.
Secretary of Defense position is filled by a civilian.
He asks what the qualifications for Secretary of Defense are, because all of these guys are saying that Hegseth is not qualified.
That's it. If you have served in the U.S. Army Forces and have been in the service for, you have to be retired for at least 7 years, and Congress can weigh that. And then there's questions that the senator from Massachusetts brought up about serving on a board inside the military industry, and yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary of Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon.
Whoa!
But I guess that's okay because that's a Democrat Secretary of Defense. But we so quickly forget about that, and then Senator Kaine, or I guess I better use the senator from Virginia, starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No, but it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because the man's made a mistake. And you want to sit there and say that he's not qualified? Give me a joke. I mean, it is so ridiculous that you guys hold yourself as this higher standard and you forget you got a big plank in your eye.
See,
we've all made mistakes.
Is what I'm talking about.
And Jennifer, thank you for loving him.
Yeah.
He took the gloves off. He hit back.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. And then, then Warren came on, just trying to attack. And I would have been like, dude, just if there's any way you could work it in, like when you said that you were an Indian and you knew you weren't, just something to put, throw something back in their face.
Well, that's what Mullen did. Is how many of you. And they all know who shows up there drunk.
But they were talking, when he said, you guys are saying that he shouldn't do this because he was on a board for some military company, blah, blah, blah. Remember when we had to vote and make a special vote because your guy was coming off of a board to take the position?
Yeah.
And then it's like, don't allow the hypocrisy, And I think he's broke. It's too broke to fix. But it's not going to be burnt down unless they have to burn it down. Like the whole thing is, when this side had power, they did lawfare and they used the DOJ against us, and we're not going to do that. No, do it. It's already done. The line's been crossed. If you don't do it, they're just going to do it again. It's just giving them, a reason to do it, because they know there's no consequences. So do it, and if it all falls apart and you gotta just rewrite how it works so that you don't have that power, you don't have that authority to be able to do that, then that's what it needs to be.
Well, supposedly all those 80,000 that either stepped away or were, fired or resigned from the military because over the jab are like standing behind Hegseth. I did have one concern, but then I went back and I re-listened to the question, and the senator asking him the question identified himself as a Zionist, but Pete did not. Pete says that he's a Christian. He does say that he's in support of Israel, but not a Zionist. So I wanted you to hear this, and then I wanted to get
That's another thing we were talking about before the show started, about how certain things are normalized now, and it's like that used to be saying, like, there was Israelis, there were Jews, and there were Zionists. That was like saying there are Muslims and there are radicalized Muslims. That was the difference between Zionist and Jew. It was radicalized Muslim. I believe that we should blow up. We believe we should kill people. I believe if you draw a picture of Muhammad, everyone in your family should die. That was literally like saying I'm a Zionist. You were one of those people. And now it's like okay to say that. That's something that no one's picked up on, which bothers me.
Yeah, because this guy says a Zionist, and then he gives a definition of it. And then Pete says, I'm a Christian, and he says what he believes, but he does not identify as a Zionist. It's like 30 seconds.
Being a Christian Zionist, I'm not really sure why that is a bad thing. I'm a Christian. I'm a Zionist. Zionism is that the Jewish people deserve a homeland in the ancient Holy Land where they've lived since the dawn of history. Do you consider yourself a Christian Zionist?
Senator, I'm a Christian, and I robustly support the state of Israel and its existential defense, and the way America comes alongside them is a great ally.
Thank you. Because another.
So I don't know that that's him agreeing to be a Zionist. What do you think?
I think that's like when you're talking to someone that doesn't know what something means. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a feminist. And it's just, no, you're. It's like the Princess Bride. I don't think that means what you think it means. So I think that's kind of like what I was going back to, that like people, maybe they don't, it's hard to say they don't know what that word means, but maybe people don't know what that word means, what Zionism means.
Maybe that's why he wouldn't say the word, because he's giving his definition.
Yeah.
And not using the word Zionist.
Right. And that, like, literally, it's like, hey, man, are you a Muslim? No, I'm a radicalized Muslim. No one's going to say that because people still know what that means. That's one of the reasons, like when Tucker Carlson went to Russia and he went in the grocery store, he said, I'm literally feel radicalized because I can, like, I know what's back in my country and I can see what's going on here. He's like, I'm really pissed. And I believe it, like my beliefs are now over the top. And that's what I don't look up Zionist. So what is the actual definition? Which is another thing that could have been changed, in our Wikipedia world. But it used to be in line with like Nazis kind of view, like, one nation overall.
So it says Zionist refers to a supporter advocate of Zionism, which is a political movement which supports the establishment and preservation of a Jewish homeland in the territory defined as the historic land of Israel. Here are a few key points. Zionism emerged in the late 19th century with
Theodore Herzl.
Herzl. Okay. Goals' primary aim was to secure a national home for the Jewish people, which was realized with the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948. Zionism encompasses various ideological strands from political Zionism, which focuses, on.
I want to look up Theodore Herzl.
Okay. You're going to, or you want me to?
You can too.
Okay.
Theodore Herzl.
Okay, perceptions and controversies using the term Zionism can be contentious. Support for many Zionism represents the right of Jewish self-determination. Critique of Zionism often argued from various perspectives, including those who see it as colonialist or those challenging the policies of Israeli government concerning.
Now you're getting into gray area when you use the word Jewish colonialism.
Mm-hmm.
That's when things start to get muddy and bloody. That's when you look at colonialism is
map
taking over, is
Yeah.
colonizing, and with the indigenous population is usually getting rid of them. See, that's where, and over years, and especially with our Wikipedia world where you can change things, it could have been softened to where now it's something that people use as a term, which used to mean something very different. But it was more of Jewish colonialism that I was taught, and kind of the Jewish state overall, not just. But first, it needed to be created, obviously. But once created, then it should colonize and take over, and be. You can throw words like master race, or you could throw words like chosen people. There's other, but it's all the same. It's a superiority and a colonization is what Zionist meant. But then there's just Judaism, which is completely different, which is just religion, which is not, like literally, like I said, one thing is kind of a radicalization of a religion. Like look at what Christianity did in the Middle Ages and with the Inquisition and all. It's all, it's the same kind of thing. It's like one is extremism, the other one is more following the basic tenets and teachings.
I don't know what you were looking for Theodore Herzl.
Oh, I just looked into his there's Britannica, 1860 Budapest, Hungary, Austrian Empire, now Hungary. That's where he was born. He founder of the political form of Zionism, a movement to establish a Jewish homeland, and then to move to an independent Jewish state in Palestine. Discover his vision of Zionism, his return to Judaism, and his diplomatic efforts to achieve his goal. There's a lot of stuff and different. There's a Herzl Institute. He was a playwright, which is interesting.
There was a really good video on Rumble that I shared, I think, to my Patreon and to Telegram, but it's been a while ago. And it was like the secrets of Israel or Israel's secret or something like that. And it talked about the colonialism. What am I trying to say? Colonizing of the expansion of Israel.
This is pretty interesting, dude. Just reading stuff about him. He was he had a lot of connections to the German government in the First before Mustache Guy took over. I bet Mustache Guy used a lot of this guy's propaganda and a lot of his stuff. It's literally, there's a lot of similarities. Like the book he wrote was what was it called? The Jewish Staat, something like that. Der Judenstaat, yeah. Der Judenstaat means the Jew state. And it says home.
There's been a lot of talk around that as well. Like there was a Red Cross letter that came out, or that I saw today, that said that there were, more and more about like that the camps were not exclusively Jewish. That there were there was a guy that was talking about how like the guy that created the gas chambers for here in the U.S. For like different states, went and visited the gas chambers there, and he was saying like, well, this bishop was talking about it, and he said, I'm happy to like go back and review my thoughts if the guy that created the gas chambers over there changes his thoughts. But he said that the way the gas escapes, there's no way that gas could have been used in those buildings because the chimneys weren't high enough and the doors weren't airtight. Very strange that all that kind of stuff was coming out.
Well, they were not just for Jewish people. They hated Russians. The Russians were subhuman to they wouldn't, like, if you're a prisoner, you didn't go to prisoner war camp. If you're a Russian, you went to concentration camp. Like Americans, British, other countries.
And Polish people too, yeah. Anyway, thought that was interesting that kind of stuff's popping up a lot right now.
Also, there's a big questioning of history, and kind of with the wildfire in because a fire is easy. Like there's I suppose satellite photos and of the fires starting at the same exact time, which are statistically impossible, that kind of thing. So it wasn't on purpose, but how easy like a culture can be erased. We're talking about the Tartarian Empire, and I was telling you about the what I read about how the Lewis and Clark exposition was like fake. They supposedly, like, no one had been to this part of the country. This was completely the first time. But there's maps from like 100 years before that literally say San Francisco on it. They had a place where Chicago is that had a different name. And then there's a picture of San Francisco in the 1800s, which would have been like 40 years after it was discovered, right? And there's like cathedrals. It's a huge city that couldn't be made that fast. Chicago was like supposedly like a tent city. And then within like 25, 30 years, it was this massive metropolis that was, as bigger than like New York or other place that had been around for, Philadelphia,
Right.
that had been there for, 100 plus years. And in like 30 years, it's the same size or bigger. Populations it just doesn't make critical thinking sense, so just questioning the whole writing of history. I saw a woman who's like 102 or something, and she was being interviewed, and she said, I went to, like, she said the name of her school, it was like L. Johnson Middle School and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what were you taught about the earth? Well, we were taught the earth was flat and that there was, this, it was all the stuff that the flat earthers are saying.
That the Bible says. That
Well, she was like, that's what we were taught in school. So it's very odd because I was taught like that was one of the things, was Columbus or whoever, they didn't sail off the edge. So like there had been teaching the globe since, the 1500s or something. It was like a long time. And this is a woman who was alive in a TV interview who was,
yeah.
I wish I would have asked my uncle's mom. We used to call her Nana Canty, but she was born in like 1890 or something.
Mm.
And I always thought that was so crazy. She was born in 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could go back in time, there's like things I could ask her that she would know about. I just thought it was cool that she like saw the invention of, the car and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
But
there's two different things Mel Gibson commented on the fire. So he was, and then something in the Catholic Church that I wanted to touch on. So he's been in, and I guess he's coming out with another movie, another religious movie where he's gonna like kind of do this, why are our souls, if there's this big power struggle going on right now with good and evil, for our souls, why are our souls so important? But he kind of calls out like the LA, but he just asks questions.
I know they were messing with the water.
They were messing with the water.
Letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things. And then in the events like this, you sort of look, oh, is it on purpose? Which it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be? I don't know. Do they want the state empty? I don't know.
Well, Mel, there's.
And they were saying that like a lot of that Pacific Coast Highway, they had just passed a thing where they weren't going to allow any new buildings or any new homes along there.
Yeah.
And now there's a couple of homes that made it, but now does that mean there will be no more, or will they now open up that property to be built on? And I guess this is a picture that like Mel Gibson's home burned, but this is Tom Hanks that is perfectly fine. It's kind of strange.
It is, especially if he's a hologram. Burn.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he is.
He's not then they would have burned his house.
Why?
Something I think that's interesting, and this is something I want to throw out there. I want you to have an open mind on this. They're really hitting DEI and this lesbian, fired chief, and she's terrible and blah blah, and everyone's frothing at the mouth. Go after this woman, and
I didn't know she was a lesbian.
yeah, that's the whole thing. She's a lesbian. She hired a bunch of lesbians. She hired more women. She wanted to increase blah blah. Well, that's what all the like memes and articles say. But when I hear the lady talk, it's a different thing. She's quite articulate and doesn't sound like a nut. People are like, they want to know why there's no water in this reservoir and why it was empty the day before, blah, blah, blah. And she said, basically, she's like, why the hell would I know that? I'm in charge of firemen, and I make sure that they have as much equipment as they can have and are as well trained as they can be. They're ready. They go and hook up a fire hose to a fire hydrant. There's no water in the fire hydrant. How is that our fault? And she's like, not just my fault, but how is that our fault? we're there to fight a fire. If there's no water, why aren't you asking the Department of Water and Power?
City planning.
Yeah, that's, and
Yep.
she's like,
Yeah.
and they're like, hey, why are you just trying to pass the buck? It's like, I'm not trying to pass the buck. She said, if people weren't doing their job, that's my fault. But if there's no water, and then they said that this big reservoir was empty the day before, and they're like, why did you allow that?
But that's been disproven. It was.
But she's like, why would I? How am I to know that? She said, oh, they don't tell you? She said, no, they don't tell us. They should tell us. I mean, they're like, well, that's stupid. And I mean, which is like, yeah, that's stupid. It's stupid. They should tell me, like they should tell the fire department there's not going to be enough water if there's something, you know what I mean? But there's nothing in place for that. But they seem to really go after her for some reason.
She did a good job with that interview. I didn't know the lesbian thing, and I thought she did a good job with the her response of like, my job was for training and provide.
But for all these memes and all the stuff that it's been, it's like completely her fault. It's like pointing at her, and then you throw in the DEI. It's like she's made, but that's the thing. The fire department didn't fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have water. They didn't have money. They didn't have equipment. And she was like, even if they hook up and there's no water in the fire hydrant, they don't stop. They do what they can with what they have. And then this reporter made the point. She was trying to argue with her and make her look bad. And she's like, I was out there on the line, and those firemen, they hooked up a fire hydrant to try to put out a house on fire, and there was no water. So they couldn't do anything but stand there and let it burn. And they went and found a swimming pool, and they got water from that, and they put it on a house that wasn't on fire so that it wouldn't catch fire to save that house.
Exactly.
And the chief was like, that's what I just said.
Trained to do. Yeah.
They couldn't do something, and they did the best that they could do with what they had. She goes, that's what they're trained to do. That's what they did. Everyone, all the firemen, fire people, whatever.
Yeah.
They're doing like a great job, but I think they're trying to turn it away from the fact that they've been cutting money but people have been paying in taxes for stuff that's important. That's what it's supposed to go for, and then putting it towards things that are stupid.
Well, also, where is the water going? So if you look into that, some people were looking into that, and there are these huge like pistachio farms and this Fiji water company that apparently Newsom has his partnership with or his hands in. This, one of the richest families there, that they've been diverting like town water, city water. It's not a private resource. It's, we the people's water, the people of California's water, to these private, they're diverting it for private use for these companies. And that's where the water.
That's like 100% Newsom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course it is. And that's where he needs to be held accountable. And so,
so crooked. He's so crooked.
Yeah.
He's so crooked. I don't know why he's not in Chicago. It's very, he is he's such a slime ball. During COVID, the thing with him having the party at the French Laundry.
Yes, I remember that.
Just always been.
But that's where they need to have these audits, and that's what Ivan Raiklin was calling for. He said, that's part of, that's what Pete Hegseth coming in and saying, like, this military stuff needs the oversight, all of that, and these audits need to happen across the board. And then we need to hold them accountable. And if that means bringing them out of retirement, and some may have to face capital punishment, then that may be what that is. But there has to be oversight. Because
you like Sean Ryan now. You've been watching Sean Ryan. And something that and there's the people talking about now that he's just a plant and that everyone's a plant. But he is like, I hate the government. I hate the upper military because it's like they're all the same thing. Like before, the generals they were all part of.
I
It was
think
all
they meant the
military.
Washington generals, the TV
Yeah.
generals. Yeah.
Exactly. Like but that wasn't a thing before. Like the military was the military, and now it has become that, to where there's like a political arm of the military, and that's what I think what Hegseth represents is somebody who gives a shit. Because I was been watching stuff on the Benghazi thing, and just the contempt that Hillary, Huma, Weiner, all of those people, and the military, but the government in general had for the soldiers and what happened.
Yeah.
They don't give a crap.
Well, that's what the Benghazi thing, the Trump Tower, Tesla thing, like, and watching Hegseth's confirmation hearing today, the guys that were in the audience, like, were Green Berets, were Navy SEALs, were, part of that 80,000 that Ivan Raiklin's talking about, that, the best and the brightest, the critical thinkers, the some of the first to know something's wrong here, and were willing to step away when people said I had to do it because I would lose my military job or whatever, and then ended up with myocarditis and whatever else going on. I can't remember the name of the girl that the military woman that's now suing because she was forced to take it and to keep her.
Well, there's a lot of them.
But those guys were all sitting in the audience, supporting Hegseth.
It's one of those things, I think, that's coming back to bite him in the ass, and which I was talking in the beginning about how Pocahontas really is just, they don't get it. They don't get why they lost. They're doubling down on this. You're misogynistic, and he's like, no, I just want standards. It's like, you hate women. It's like, no. And they're just trying to do the same old thing, and it's going to be their demise. They're scared that someone's going to get into power that actually gives a crap about a regular American. You know what I mean? And well, number one, expose, but you know how I feel about that. I don't give a crap about exposing. Mm-hmm. It's holding accountable. And when it comes to the military, they can hold themselves accountable way better than anyone else. Mm-hmm. Because they don't operate under the same.
What they are. I mean, if there's an action, then the facts are what they are, and that person's actions hold themselves accountable if the truth is known. Mm-hmm. and that's where, like, the whole blockchain, I'm really excited about the show this week on WBRT, because I feel like blockchain does that if it's known. That's where a lot of that kind of stuff could clean things up, but you have to have the enforcement. You have to let the blockchain proof be known, because if not, then it doesn't matter. You can have a DAO and have votes, but if you're not going to hold that enforcement, if you're not going to enforce the DAO vote, then it means nothing.
But you see, something that regular civilians or people don't understand about the military is the military is a different animal. It's not. Do you know what GI means? I told you this before, but do you remember?
No, I don't remember what you said. Government something.
It means government issue.
Issue. Okay. Yeah.
So literally, and this is a little bit, Warren is cringy, Crypto Mojo, but I mean, this is a hard way to put it, but it's true. Military is slavery. It is servitude. It is, you're going into it.
Indenture. Yeah, it's an indenture.
You sign away your rights. I mean, I've been around. It's changed a lot in my lifetime. But when I was a kid, if you got a tattoo, you could go to jail. You could go to the stockade. You know what you're charged with. What do you think? What are you charged?
Damaging government property.
Defacing government property. That's the fact that happened, and that was a real charge, and you go to in my lifetime when I was a kid,
Wow.
when I was a young adult, even in my 20s, here in the United States, in Texas, you could go to jail, get put in the stockade for defacing government property for getting a tattoo without permission. You could ask, and then it was like, well, they don't care if it's above where your sleeve is or if you have a cover, you can do that. But it was still that was the rule, that was the law. Until Clinton, you could go to jail for having gay sex. There was
Don't ask, don't tell.
Before Clinton instituted that.
Oh,
Don't ask, don't tell. But before that, if you got caught, you could get arrested and put in the stockade. There was a whole department of CID that was there just to look out for them.
Oh, that's why on MASH, that one guy dressed like a girl because he was always trying to get kicked out.
Yeah, trying to be crazy. Yeah. Klinger.
Okay.
But my point is that, and there's also, the military is so different. The military code of justice, and you could say code, but it's law. Their laws are different. When you sign in and you're in the military, you could go to jail for cheating on your wife.
Yes, I know.
Those are all things that you could get in trouble for. So it was a very different America. It was a different America. It was a different world.
Now that's not martial law, right? That's military law.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's voluntary. You're voluntarily coming into the military unless you're drafted. But that was a whole different weird thing. But my point being that if someone comes into that world, the world of the military, like Hegseth, the amount of power that they have over those people is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
You could, like, they don't have to go through a big process, and it's not like
trial thing.
And I always harken back to this when Cuomo grabbed the girl's boob up her shirt under her bra, admitted to it, and he didn't get arrested. And they had the press conference with literally like the sheriff of the county, like 20 law enforcement officers behind him, and they're having a big press conference, and he says, arrest is not off the table. And it's literally just the most basic sexual assault there is. He goes, yeah, it was inappropriate. Put my hand up her shirt, under her bra, and honked her boob. That anyone else is arrested. Now, in the military, you don't have to go through all that political crap. It's like, oh, there's a law. He broke the law. Arrest him. Now he has to go before the military court. It's all quick. It's partitioned off from the bullshit of the justice system, from the bullshit that has become the bullshit of our system, of our legal system. It's so streamlined. So if you get someone in there that would actually do something and clean house, they have the ability to actually change so much. And then you're talking about,
Well, that's what Ivan Reikland's point. Look at the last guy and how much he destroyed the military.
Mm-hmm.
And that. So yeah, you're absolutely.
But in him destroying it, he was basically giving power to those people that are not in the military. Like our military has been used for the military-industrial complex for, all these corporations to secure money, to make more money, and at the cost and lives of people.
That's where, yeah, absolutely. So that's why that the drone operator, took the Tesla to Trump Tower. He was trying to be the whistleblower. He was trying to tell people what's been going on, how the military's been weaponized against civilians.
So if he cleans that up, that's going to change the world.
Absolutely.
That will change the world. It really, really will. And I think it's one of the things that they're horrified about. Just like Gates. But I think like the FBI, I think the civilian justice system and intelligence, it's so rotted and messed up. I don't think it can be fixed. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the military, completely different animal. And I think with the right person in there, that could actually be changed. And those are also people, like you said, there's like 80,000 people that got kicked out of the military. I think it was less than 10% of them came back. And they were offered, you can come back to your same rank. Nobody. You can come back to your same rank with 2 years back pay. And then they got like 10%. So, these are not regular people. These are, people that run towards danger, people that joined for really, really good reasons. They're patriots, the basic definition of the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and they haven't given up or gone away. That's the thing that I think is so amazing to see them. They're still standing, waiting for the right thing to be done. I mean, they're showing up today at the hearing. They're still, I think they still are, from what Rayclin was saying, they're possibly working at a more local level or ready to be sworn in at a more local level. And
I think a lot of them had given up. I think that the things that have happened the past 6 months, I mean, everything from Elon with free speech to the election to just all of these things have given a lot of lost people some kind of hope. Just like, the left wants to say it's emboldened all of those racists and terrible people. I think maybe it has, whatever. But I think that the main thing it has done is just given some hope back to those people. The people that were good people who were just stepped on, stomped on, and forgotten about.
Yeah. I hope so.
But I have also seen too many people with Trump will fix it. Trump's going to fix it. Trump's it's all. But those are sheep. Honestly, the people who will fix it are the 80,000.
Yeah.
Those are the people
that are willing to stand up.
They just don't think they had a chance. And now they think they have a chance.
Yeah. Well, it's encouraging. I mean, if it just takes one domino, if it's Hegseth getting in and then these 80,000 leaders of our country, patriots show up, and that encourages 80,000 more behind them,
How many whistleblowers do you think have held back because of the way whistleblowers have been treated since Wikipedia? They're not Wikipedia, WikiLeaks. How many journalists have held back over the years because of this kind of stuff? I
didn't realize, like, I was at homeschool, and we have several homeschool moms families that are in the military there in our group. And one of the moms, I was talking about the Tesla tower thing, and she knew exactly, not the Sean Ryan name, but she knew the now I can't remember it. The guy he was interviewing that's the military that's known for military whistleblower interview guy who received the email. And she said he's very respected in the military community, and like everyone knows who he is. And so if you can imagine, if they start feeling supported, how many more will start coming to him? And
and there's also and we talked about this with the Trump assassination versus the JFK. There was, back then, snipers had just been invented, like the actual what's the word I'm looking for?
That kind of position or coverage.
That training, and that it was a new thing, because it was very sneaky. It wasn't a normal thing. It really wasn't used until like Vietnam. But now there's so many retired, current people who are experts on this kind of thing, to where when it happened, there was like I know 2 or 3 people who are experts in that field.
Oh.
Everybody know, and you can't suppress the information. You can't put something stupid out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were able to do before, because instantly they were like, "Oh, I was a sniper for 22 years, and I had this and then this and this happened this way," and so there's things fall apart, and with the Las Vegas thing, the guy had supposedly shot himself in the car with a Desert Eagle,
Mm-hmm.
50 caliber, which isn't a real gun. That's a gun like people on TV use and cartoon villains use, and like it's just cool. It's not a real gun. You know what I mean? It's something that's just neat. I have guns that are terrible guns, but they look like space guns, so
Right.
that's why I own them. But the 50 caliber, not the 50 BMG. That's the rifle round, but the 50 AE. It's huge. That's why the Desert Eagle is so massive. But it shoots a fireball. I mean, a huge fireball because it's so massive. And if he shot himself in the car, there would be a huge fireball, and there wasn't.
No, it was like fireworks.
But supposedly he killed himself first, then it blew up. Mm-hmm. So, like, everyone knows that. I'm a moron, and I know that. So definitely, like, firearms experts, everyone is like, he didn't kill himself in the vehicle. There would be a giant fireball that we would all see through these windows from that gun. It's not like he shot himself in the head with a 22 or the 38 or whatever, or a 9mm with a suppressor. There's all of these things would make more sense. With the Mangione thing, people supposedly, like the FBI, the NYPD, and other people said, "Oh, it's this specific kind of gun," and every firearms expert was like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That gun is one of the most controlled guns as part of the NFA. Like, every aspect of it has to be registered. You have to pay tax stamps on everything. It's like literally like one of the most trackable. It's a bad gun. It's a stupid gun, but it's
what's
like a collective."
The Mangione thing. What are you talking about?
The guy that killed the health insurance guy.
Oh, okay.
So they said that. So the fact that the NYPD would even say that it was that gun is dumb. Is my point. But they're not able to get away with just throwing bullshit out there and moving on. Now it's a lot more difficult when it comes to that. But
it's because there's too many experts. It's like the like the video thing that I am and I were talking about yesterday. Like, it's like the science or the technology has caught up. Or you and I were talking about the
Barack Obama's thing.
Barack Obama's.
There's no way you can do it today.
Yeah, because the technology has caught up.
Yeah, me and you would take it apart. If he was running for president and someone said that, then me and you could download the thing and take it apart.
Take it apart with Adobe.
Yeah, or you could have Canon do it. He's studying it. Oh, he needs to get this credit for this class, and he could take it apart. So we've gotten to the part where, like, a lot of those cover-ups and things, they can't go on.
Yeah.
Which is good. But like I said, I think that's why we're coming to the end of a lot of stuff.
That's good. The truth is coming out. So
yeah, we didn't even get to talk about stuff. I wanted to talk about that. Did you see that PBD podcast with that?
I did not.
That changed my life. It really did.
I saw Heidi was tweeting out something about PBD, but I didn't get a chance to watch it.
I've tried to it's hard for me to articulate, and I've tried to talk to you about it, and it's hard for me to articulate it, but I don't. Remember, I played a video of how you can trick your mind, and I keep telling you we can't trust ourselves or we can't trust our minds. And I honestly believe that our brains are our enemies. because they're easily controlled by other people. And
Did you hear the shaman talking about this?
the who?
You remember the shaman guy?
Oh, no, I didn't.
So he was literally just talking. Well, I don't know when it was. He's in his garb and he's talking about this, how Operation Mockingbird is basically this, and how
Yes,
it
that's what
causes,
this guy was part of that. Like he was on that thing.
and when you hear it so many times in a familiar, and then the kind of mass psychosis, and that is the world that we live in.
He was this dude, man. He was so it was just mind blowing. But he was talking about this experiment, and this will blow your mind because he said that there's an experiment. I forget what it's called. I could look it up, but it was done by Yale, right? But it's been done by other universities and stuff. Always about the same results. And it was basically to see if a regular person would kill someone for no reason, just because. And he was like, "What percentage of people do you think did it?" And Patrick was like 10%, 5%. He goes, they thought it would be 13, almost 70%. 2/3 of people killed.
Like the white coat experiment or something like that?
No, that's the white coat effect. Is derived from the experiment. So they put an ad in the paper, and that's also the thing. There's no reward. It's not like you're doing it to get money or you're doing it. It's like take part in this experiment, you get lunch. That was like the thing. So you go there, and there's like 2 people in a room, and they're like, okay, so you 2 are going to take part in an experiment. We're going to have draw straws or flip a coin or whatever it was. One of you, I think it was draw straws. One of you is going to be the teacher. One of you is going to be the student. So they would draw, and then this guy would be, I'm the teacher. The other guy who was going to be the student, he was in on it. He was part of the experiment. He knew. So they hook him up to a shock machine, right? And then this other guy, there's they have him sit one side of a divider, the guy the other. It's like you ask the guy questions. Everyone who gets wrong, you shock him, and then you move up to a higher shock. And then you ask the next question. Everyone who gets wrong, you got to move it up, and then so that's how that went. So it's like blah blah. He answers the question wrong, shocks him, and you hear him and then once if you shock someone at I think it's 250 volts, you can kill them. And this went up to 400. Okay.
And you tell them all this so that they know they're in danger of killing.
That's the thing. This dude's screaming in pain.
Yeah, they
blah, blah, but then there's no empathy, so you got to. They're like, "Hey, just do it," and then he's like, and then the guy screams out, "I have a heart condition. I didn't tell you. I can't. This is gonna, I got to get out. I got to stop this." And then you're like, "Hey, this guy said he has heart." It's like, "No, we have to do this experiment. Just continue to do it." So he shocks him, and then he shocks him again, and then there's no answer. Dude's most likely dead, or at least knocked out. And then he's like, "Well, he's not answering." And they're like, "Well, then silence counts as a wrong answer." He has 30 seconds to answer the question. Move on. Next shock level. And 70%, 68 some percent, kept moving up until he went to 400 and kept shocking a silent, at minimum passed out, if not dead guy. Which was just, nobody was expecting that. It was mind blowing. And then they come from that, the white coat effect, if someone just has a white coat, or you trust them and do what they say. But it's so easy to basically get someone to kill someone for no reason. It's not like, hey, you won't get that, $200 you need to pay that bill, or hey, you won't get, that grade. These people were not getting anything. That was part of the experiment. There had to be no reward or no punishment. It was literally, you could walk out at any time. You're just, people are going to be mad at you.
It was the thing about following instruction, or once they were committed to it, they were in the room and you were doing the thing. I don't know. I remember watching the video.
But you should watch that, at least that clip, because that blew my mind.
I've watched
But this guy was talking about how
it's an old
basically easy it is to control people's mind. And so this is what I want to end with this, because this is what blew my mind, especially for you. I wanted because once
it's also like that. Once you're in something, you can stop and change it. Like, so there's that the movie where Jodie Foster is getting raped on the table or whatever, the pinball table or whatever. And I was like, why in the fuck don't they just somebody turn on the lights, turn off the music, like change the environment kind of thing, and and I was with my kids, if you see something, like, don't just walk by. Like, people were watching that lady supposedly burning with the fire. Why didn't somebody do something?
Because I'll tell you, remember I talked to you about that last week or week before, about how that woman got raped on the subway and everyone started filming it. No one did anything. It's actually called the bystander effect, which the more people are there, the less apt there are to help you. It actually works against you. It's very weird. That's part of what I've been talking about with this. It's hard for me to articulate, but I think I'm getting it. So, you've said this, and it's a very old thing. It's easier to fool someone than it is to try to get them to admit that they've been fooled. So I realize that I've been fooled, and you can realize that you've been fooled, but you have to, and that you're in on it. You're part of it, but you have to admit to it. And I was reading this thing, and it said that I didn't have a soul. And I'll tell you, you don't have a soul. And when you hear that, you have a knee-jerk reaction. All of you people in chat, you don't have a soul. And if you think you do, you're fooled. They got you. You are controlled. And then I read the next two lines. By saying that you have a soul or thinking that you have a soul, you are accepting the fact that your mind and your body is who you are, when in fact your soul is who you are. So your soul has a body. Your soul has a mind. This is just a neat robot. This is a housing for who we are. I am my soul. So I don't have a soul because that's who I am. So by saying I have a soul, I'm giving up who I am. So I have a mind, I have a body, but I am the soul. So that was really powerful. That's what I've been trying to, like, that brought it together for me. It's like, so your mind is literally, it's a fucking computer. Right now.
Well, that's why people say, like, we are in the matrix. This is the matrix.
Right now, what if you're talking to me? We're having a conversation. What if I'm not? What if I'm Joe? And this is a practical joke. I'm John Rhodes. And then we hit it's a filter. The whole time it's been a filter and an AI voice. That's completely believable. But then were you fooled? Or was it a joke? That's what I'm talking about. It's like you honestly don't know that it's me. We're not in the same room. And even if we were, that's how bad it is. People can control your mind and make you see things. Illusion, drugs, there's so many things that can control this thing that we think we are, which is our mind. We have to somehow get in more touch with our soul and know that that's who we are, and look at the world and access the world through that. Like I said, very hard to articulate, but watch that podcast because it like made me feel like, oh, I'm really, really am onto something with that.
Well, good.
All right.
With you. That's good.
Check out me and Lisa on Roblox Roundtable on Thursday. Like she said, she's excited about this week, so I think it should be a good one.
Yeah, really good. All right. See you guys. Thanks for watching again. If you're watching on my channel, please make sure you jump over to Sean's and leave a comment so you'll be entered to win on his crypto channel contest. And if you're watching on Sean's, please come over to my channel and leave a comment and hit that like button. We'll see you guys next time on Truth Tuesday.